Dear students, welcome back. So, in the continuation of my previous lecture, that is the quantum free electron theory of metal, this is my last lecture on this chapter. And after this, we have just very small two chapters left. That is your semiconductor, conductivity on the semiconductor, and then again we have the dielectrics. So today we are going to look into the success of the quantum free electron theory. So we have seen there was some problem in the conductivity in the classical theory. For example, sigma, that we have seen the conductivity is equal to n e squared tau by m, where n is equal to number of the free electrons. So if you have the more number of the free electrons, the conductivity should be more, but then we have seen that that is not the case. So we require to resolve this. So now we have understood briefly what is the quantum free electron theory. So using that, we'll have the derivation. Derivation we are not going to do directly. We'll have the formula, and with help of that formula we'll explain you how it has been resolved, that whatever the difficulty we had in the classical theory, how it can be resolved. Secondly, we are also going to look into some of the defining terms and the comparison between the classical theory and quantum theory. So now let us start with, so that we can finish this quickly. So firstly, I'm going to start with some of the defining terms. So let's see one by one. So first of all, we have the Fermi temperature. So we are already aware that the electrons, the free electrons that is there, they are not randomly distributed, rather they are quantized, and you have the different number of the energy states. So these are your energy states. Let us suppose at 0 Kelvin, this is your Fermi level that we are calling as EF. EF is your Fermi level, right? And here at the Fermi level, EF we are saying, and here the electron is there, and electron will have certain thermal energy, right? So whatever the average thermal energy of the electron over there at the Fermi energy is there, that temperature of the electron we'll call as the Fermi temperature. So let us look into what we say. The Fermi temperature, that is we have represented with the TF, is the temperature at which the average thermal energy of the free electrons in the solids become equal to the Fermi energy as 0 Kelvin. Actually, the Fermi energy that we have taken is only at 0 Kelvin. That is only defined, otherwise then Fermi level varies. But the thermal energy possessed by the electrons is given by how much? E equal to Kb into T, where Kb is your Boltzmann constant. So now what we are saying, that energy should be equal to your temperature should be equal to your thermal that is Fermi temperature. So T of this has become equal to TF. So what we can say, that is now value of the EF is equal to how much? Kb into Tf. So energy that the electron will have at the Fermi energy is equal to Kb into Tf. This is the value for any energy anywhere. All right. So from here, if I just re-equate this, what we can say, the Fermi temperature TF is equal to your EF upon Kb. Kb is your Boltzmann constant. So whether this temperature is a practical temperature or it's just a theoretical temperature, that also we can look into. So let us suppose the previous diagram that we had seen. So what I had done is here I had drawn the Fermi energy. So this was your Fermi energy that I had drawn. So this is your Fermi energy. Let us suppose this Fermi energy, the energy of this is your, let us suppose the small value of the Fermi energy we are taking, and let us suppose that value of the Fermi energy is equal to 3 electron volt. So 3 electron volt of the energy we are taking. So if the electron has got the 3 energy electron volt, 3 electron volt energy, then how much temperature it will have? And whatever that temperature is there, is it a real temperature? So let us look into. The Fermi temperature is only the theoretical concept. I am coming to the reason by substituting those values. So what I am saying, it's right now what I am saying is only the theoretical concept. It's only the theoretical concept, since at ordinary temperature it's not possible that electron will possess such a huge temperature. Let us calculate what is that huge temperature. If electron has a Fermi energy of 3 electron volt, so then its Fermi temperature can be given as, so what you do, you just substitute the value of EF is equal to 3 electron volts. So here you have taken EF, so EF equal to, I am going to substitute 3 electron volt, so 3 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 upon Boltzmann constant Kb 1.38 into 10 to the power minus 23. This is your minus 23 All right. So this value we are getting is equal to 34,800 Kelvin. So this value is a huge value, right? So this type of the temperature at 0 Kelvin is not possible. So what we are saying, Fermi temperature is just a theoretical concept. Practically, this type of the temperature is not possible at 0 Kelvin. All right. So let's look into next one. Next we have the Fermi velocity. So exactly just like your Fermi temperature, we have the Fermi velocity. So the velocity of the electron at the Fermi level will call is your Fermi velocity. So what we are saying, the energy of the electron which are at the Fermi level, that is EF, the velocity of the electron which occupy the Fermi level is called Fermi velocity. So we know that the at the Fermi energy we have the electrons. So if the electron will have a certain value of the energy, naturally it will be moving, and it will be moving with a certain value of the energy. That is called the kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy, from that kinetic energy we can find out what is the value of the Fermi velocity. So therefore what we can say, the Fermi velocity, that is the Fermi energy, EF, is equal to half mv square. This is nothing, this is your kinetic energy. So at the Fermi energy, electron will have this type of the energy. This energy is nothing, this is your kinetic energy. That is just as in the previous example we are seeing the Fermi energy was equal to 3 electron volt. So due to the 3 electron volt, what can be the velocity that the electron has occupied at the Fermi energy? So that is the real velocity with which the electron is moving at that energy state. All right. So just now let's rearrange this and let's find out what is the value of your Vf. So what we can say, Vf is equal to 2Ef, where Ef is your Fermi energy upon m, and m is the mass of the electron. So this is your Fermi velocity. Now let us compare the classical theory and the quantum theory of the conductivity in case of metals. All right. So firstly, we are taking the similarities. What is the similarities between the classical theory and the quantum theory? So firstly, we are saying the valence electron are treated as though they constitute an ideal gas. So in both the theory, we are saying that they are just behaving like a ideal gas, but we are applying the different concept. In both the case, we are saying it is constituting the ideal gas, but what is the difference that we are saying? The valence electron can move freely throughout the solid, right? That difference I will tell you while we are taking the difference. It is going to behave like a gas. In both the concept, it is going to behave like a gas. But then what is the difference of the behavior of the gas? How the behavior of the gas has been interpreted differently, that I am going to tell you in the next slides. The valence electron can move freely throughout the body of these solids, so that we know only the difference that we are saying, they cannot move randomly. They are their energy is quantized. The mutual repulsor between the electrons and the force of the attraction between the electrons and ions are considered insignificant. So in the both the theory, what we are saying, that now we have the lattice, because now you must have understood that if you have the atoms, from the atoms and atoms, the metallic atoms, so some of the electrons, loosely bonded electrons, have left and they are moving throughout the crystal randomly. So that is going to create a positive charge in your nucleus, and that collection of the positive charge is called your lattice. So you have the lattice. The moment you have the lattice, then you have the collection of the different positive charge, and naturally you have the different electrons. So between the positive charge and electrons, you can have the attractive force. Between the positive charge and positive charge, that is between the lattice, we will have the repulsive force. So those type of the forces are irrelevant in both the theory. So in both the theory, we say it don't have the real impact to change the theory of conductivity. So these three are the similarities between the classical theory and your quantum theory. Let's look into what are the differences. So in the classical theory, what we say, the free electrons which constitute the electrons gas have the continuous energy value. So what here we are saying, this is the what we require to look into. Here we are saying they have the continuous energy value, but here what we are saying, they are not continuous, they are discontinuous. They are discontinuous because this energy are quantized. So you are going to move from the one energy state to another energy state. There is certain gap. So what we are finding, these energy are discontinuous, but in the classical theory, what we are saying, the energy of those electrons are continuous. Secondly, It is possible that many electrons may possess same energy, right? Because here there is no concept of the quantization. But what we say in the case of the quantum theory, the free electrons obey Pauli's exclusion principle, and according to the Pauli's exclusion principle, which is the concept of the fermions, as you understand, in one energy state we can have maximum 2 electrons with the opposite spin. Even with the same spin they cannot be there, and that is called your fermions. Hence no 2 electrons can possess the same energy. No 2 electron will have the same energy, so you cannot have of the same spin the two electrons. So in one of the energy state you have only one electron of the similar spins. All right. Next, the pattern of distribution of the energy among the free electrons obey the Maxwell distribution, Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. Now this is the difference. Now there, in case of the classical theory and both in the quantum theory, what we say, they are going to behave just like an ideal gas, right? But for the ideal gas in the classical theory, we say the ideal gas are going to obey the Maxwell-Boltzmann theory. So in case of the ideal gas, we are saying it obeys the Maxwell-Boltzmann theory. But what we say in case of the quantum theory, the electrons of the energy among the free electrons is according to the Fermi-Dirac statistics. So energy of those free electrons, which is behaving just like a gas, is going to behave from the Fermi-Dirac statistics, which imposes several restrictions on the possible way in which the electrons absorb the energy from an external source. So how the electron can absorb, or how the electron can emit the energy, and how they can move from one energy state to another energy state. There are several restrictions, and that restriction has been imposed, even how it is dependent upon the temperature. So all those restrictions have been taken care in case of the Fermi-Dirac statistics, right, that we have seen in the detail. So these are your main difference between your classical theory and quantum theory. Now we are going to see some of the success of the quantum free theory, which we have seen that it was getting failed in case of your classical theory. First, we have the specific heat. According to the classical free electron theory that we have already seen, all the conduction electrons are capable of observing the heat energy as per the Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics, which result in the large value of the specific heat. So we had already seen that in the classical theory, the specific heat was very large, but practically we have seen the specific heat of the electron is in the order of 10 to the minus 4, right, into R into T. But there we have seen in the classical theory it was very high value. So how we can satisfy that? So let us see. According to quantum free electron theory, it is only those electrons that are occupying energy level close to which are capable of observing the heat energy to get excited to higher energy level. Try to understand this. In case of the classical theory, what we say, that all the electrons are free to move anywhere. So whatever the energy we are giving, they are just going to behave like your gas particle, and their energy is equal to 3 by 2 kT. Their kinetic energy is equal to 3 by 2 kT. So that is applicable for all the electrons. But in case of the quantum theory, what we are saying, let us suppose these are your distribution of the electrons in the different energy state, and this is, let us suppose, your Fermi energy. So first, whenever you are going to give the temperature, only the electron from the uppermost energy level will go to the conduction band, that is those which are the vacant energy state. Then more higher energy you give, it will come to the next state. So it may come over here, then again it will go to the next state, it may come over here. So in this way, so what we are saying, all the electrons will not suddenly participate in the conduction. Only those, that is, it depends how much energy you are going to give. So the energy that we have given is not applicable for all those electrons. This is what the point number 2, I mean whatever I have written over there. All right. So hence only a small percent of the conduction electrons are capable of receiving the thermal energy input. So all the electrons at a time are not going to absorb, or they are not going to take up the thermal energy from outside the source. Thus specific heat value becomes very small for the metal. So this is the reason that a specific value is very, very small. So according to quantum free electron theory, it can be shown that CV is will equal to 2K, here K is also Boltzmann constant, upon EF into R into T. So so here if you are going to substitute the value, let us suppose the energy that we are taking, the kinetic energy we are taking is equal to your 5 electron volt as the Fermi energy, right? So now you substitute all those values. So 2K upon EF. So 2K upon EF will be in the range of 10 to the power minus 4. That is just 5 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 is the Fermi energy we have taken. And 2 into K is your Boltzmann constant. So 1.38 to the power minus 23. So that I have solved. And then the value of 2K upon EF, the value of this 2K upon EF, you will be getting in the order of 10 to the power minus 4, and R and T is still there. So what we can say, specific heat CV will equal to 10 to the power minus 4 into R into T, and which is very close to your experimental value. Experimentally also we have observed that this is in the order of 10 to the power minus 4 RT. So what we say, the theoretical value and the practical value is matching. And where is the difference? The difference is, if you are going to give a thermal energy in the classical theory, all the electrons having is participating with that thermal energy, right? So what we are saying, the thermal energy that we have given, that is will equal to, that is with this the kinetic energy it is gaining. So what will be the kinetic energy? Half mv square will equal to K into T. But in case of the quantum theory, what we are saying, only the few number of the electrons are getting affected, right? Which is able to absorb those energy, and its kinetic energy is changing, right? And that value we have substituted, whatever the value of the energy we are giving, right? Thermal energy we are giving. So for example, if you have given the thermal energy of 5 electron volt, then we are getting in the order of 10 to the power minus 4 into R into T, which is very, very close to your theoretical value. Alright, let's move to the next one. The next one is the temperature dependence of electrical conductivity. That also we have seen in the case of the classical theory, that it fails. It is not directly inversely proportional to 1 by T, rather it is inversely proportional to 1 upon under root T, right? So whether we can correct this, again we are saying the conductivity in the case is equal to sigma is equal to Ne square tau. Here we can also call tau F, that is your tau is your relaxation time or the mean collision time. So here this is your tau F upon m star, also we can say, where m star is your relative mass of your electron. So this is the change. So what we are saying, sigma Ne square tau, there we had taken upon m, here we are taking tau F, where the tau F becomes your the relaxation time or the average time at the Fermi level upon the mass of the electron, which is also relative according to the classical theory. So value of the sigma, as we are telling over here, sigma is equal to Ne squared tau F upon m. So this is your classical. Without tau F, this becomes your classical. So what we can say, this is your classical, and this becomes your quantum. Here what you can do, you can put the star over here. So that star will represent that it is your relative mass, which is not required over this expression, that to prove this temperature dependence. Therefore I have not given it. So here what we are saying, Tf is your Fermi time, that is the duration, average duration between the collision between the two of the electrons, right? We know that relaxation time can also be written as lambda is equal to C into tau. Now naturally, what is the lambda? Lambda is your average distance traveled between the collision. So lambda is nothing, it's a distance. Distance is equal to velocity into time. So velocity is your C, and tau is your time between which it is going to make the collision. So average relaxation time that we can find from here, this we can say is equal to your tau F if we are taking at the Fermi relaxation time. So from here we can calculate what is the value of your tau F. So this is what we have taken. So tau F equal to, we can say, lambda upon Vf. This is your average collision time. This is your average collision time, or you also call the relaxation time. Alright. So now, and of course the Vf is your Fermi velocity. Substituting this equation in the electrical conductivity, so what do you do? This value of the tau F that you have calculated, you substitute there in the quantum theory of the electrical conductivity. What is that? sigma is equal to n squared tau f upon m star. So if you are going to substitute this value, what you are getting, sigma, here we have substituted, so the value of tau f I have substituted, so what I am saying is equal to lambda upon Vf has come over there. Now let us see what is the relation between the lambda and Vf. In this equation, there is no direct relation between electrical conductivity and the temperature, right? But then what is happening of the change in the length of the collision distance, right? Whether with the temperature it is changing or it remains same. What have you observed? That if you are going to increase the temperature, this value of the lambda, that is the mean distance of the collision, is going to decrease. So lambda experimentally has been observed is inversely proportional to T. So what do you do? Substitute this value, lambda is inversely proportional to T in this equation. Let us suppose if I say this equation is number 1. So in this equation you substitute this value. So naturally the sigma will be inversely proportional to your temperature. So from both the equation, what we get, sigma is inversely proportional to 1 by inversely proportional to T, that is your absolute temperature. So this is the exact relationship, and this is your exact theoretical value. That is, as you are going to increase the temperature, its conductivity is going to decrease. All right. Now let us look into the next one. So what we are saying, so this theoretical result is agreed with the experiment. Now next one that we have is the dependence of the electrical conductivity on the concentration of the electrons. As we know, if we have the more number of the electrons, the conductivity is more classically, but then we have said it does not satisfy completely. So the same case again we are going to take over here. Aluminium and gallium, which have the free electrons, which have 3 free electrons, right? We are talking about the valence electron. 3 free electrons per atom have the lower electrical conductivity than that of the copper and silver, which have only 1 free electrons per atom. So even the total number of the electrons in case of the aluminium and gallium is more than in case of your silver and copper. So naturally, in case of the aluminium and gallium, the conductivity should have been more, but it is not so. This is what we have seen in the classical theory. So again, let us see with the quantum theory. So what we can say, sigma is given by Ne squared V lambda upon Vf, and this is your m star, that is your relative mass of the electron. So sigma is equal to Ne squared tau f. Tau f is nothing is equal to lambda upon Vf, that we have already seen in the previous slide. So this is the value of your conductivity. Now what is happening in this case? Now the value of the N, that is the conduction electrons, for the aluminium is 2.13 times higher than the copper, right? So this is the reason that we say the conductivity of the aluminium is more than that of the copper in the classical theory. But here we have the another catch, and that catch is the ratio of lambda and Vf. This ratio, what we say, but the value of lambda by Vf for the copper is about 3.73 times higher than that of the aluminium. Now you see, here you have 2.13 times more number of the electrons you have. So naturally the conductivity should be more, but lambda upon Vf is 3.73 times more than that of the aluminium in case of the copper. So naturally 3.73 is more than 2.13, and therefore the conductivity of the copper exceeds that of the aluminium, and exactly same is the reason for the gallium also. So in this way, the dependence of the electrical conductivity on the concentration of the electrons have also been proved successfully. Therefore, my dear students, we have seen in this lecture what is the advantage of the quantum theory over the classical theory. I have also given you the comparison between the classical theory and your quantum theory of the metallic conductivity. So in all respect, we have finished this limited information that I had to give according to your syllabi. And from the next class, I am going to start the electrical conductivity in case of semiconductor. Thank you very much.